So good morning and welcome to the Passion and Possibilities in Birth video interview series. I'm Charlotte Kanye, founder of Birth Essence, and I'm supporting women to be confidently themselves in birth. And this video interview series is to support women to know what's available with a wonderful community of support out there to create an amazing birth experience. And today I am welcoming Lorna Philip, who is a wonderful lady who works for Birmingham Doula and who is a doula, that's the name, a wonderful doula who supports women, and she also does many other things inside that, including mesotherapy, hypnobirthing, many things that Lorna will be able to tell us all about, and why that's so important, and why you might want to hire somebody like Lorna as your doula. So I actually had no idea what a doula was when I was first pregnant, which is why I didn't hire one. Because if I had known, and I know there's a lot of talk about doulas at the moment because of Meghan hiring one, whether it's been called a professional handholder or a doula or whatever. So there's misconceptions out there. So it's a good time to have this interview. I've read a few good articles going, look, actually professional handholders, you know, a lot more than you think, and it's scientific and all this. So there may be some confusion around what is a doula, why would you want one, what's the point in that, you've got your husband or you've got this, or there's a midwife coming. So start there. Tell me, what is a doula and why would we want one?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Charlotte, for inviting me on. Bit nervous, but really excited to tell you all about what I do as a doula. So I first came to doulaing back in 2005. I was working for a Sure Start program, and I was deputy manager and health coordinator. So I'd coordinate all the family health activities, and I used to also deliver baby massage, which I loved. But I noticed week after week we'd have these new moms coming into the massage class, and rather than focus on the massage strokes, they'd be retelling their birth stories week after week after week. And at that stage I hadn't realised how important women's birth experiences were to them. And how they remember them, and how we remember them as moms for the rest of our lives. So it's then I kind of looked into, well, you know, what is it about birth? And they would come back, and a lot of the stories they would tell were tinged with sadness or disappointment, or they felt they just weren't supported enough during their birth experience. So I'd heard about doulas back then, and in fact my manager suggested me starting a volunteer doula project for the area, and I wasn't too sure that would kind of take off, so I shelved the idea for a while. And then years later, when I left Sure Start, I thought, yeah, the seed has been planted. I'm going to train to be a doula because I want to be able to offer women more support and help them to feel more supported during their births, and to help them to tell a better or more positive birth story. So I trained to become a doula in 2012, shelved it for a while, and then launched myself onto the birth world as a doula in 2013. And basically what a doula is a lay person. So on the whole, we are not trained medically. We're lay people who are trained normally and experienced in birth. And what we do is offer more practical and emotional care to the woman and also her partner and her family. And that's what a birth doula is in a nutshell.
Yeah. And there are so many things that can encompass, isn't it?
Loads of stuff. So it could be just, I mean, that kind of continuity of care that we hear so much about, and continuity of carer. So we journey with that woman and her family through pregnancy. From the time that we're booked by that family, we're with her through the pregnancy, through the birth, and also sometimes as postnatally, as a postnatal doula, we nurture the mom for the first few weeks of motherhood. And that could entail, I mean, in birth, I use massage techniques, I use hypnobirthing sometimes if she'd like that. Sometimes it's just a listening ear, and oftentimes it's a listening ear. Not advising, listening, signposting on where necessary, You know, but even the mucky stuff, I've wiped bums. And I'm not just talking babies' bums, you know, and I've mopped brows. I have held hands, but it's not just what we do. You know, I'd love to be able to be paid and just sit and hold a hand, but we do more than that, an
Yeah,
awful lot
what's
more.
needed in the moment. And I think it's hugely underestimated, the power of a listening person with their heart open, who's been there, who understands and knows, which often your partner, especially the first time, doesn't, and
Yeah,
can't ever experience himself, but can be empathetic. But to have someone standing there when you go, is this not, am I okay? And you're there before the midwives come and throughout. I think that's really underestimated, the importance of that, and particularly in our society, we can be isolated as new mothers, and there you have someone steady to support you, to check in with what you need.
absolutely. And of course, partners and moms and mom-in-laws or aunties and friends that attend births or our birth partner are really key as well. But
Yeah,
the research shows particularly that it's somebody who's not the medic, who's not the family member, who's tied to you emotionally. You know, it's that continuity of that kind of carer that can make all the difference.
yeah. Why do you think that makes such a difference?
I think what it is, I mean, actually looking back even to my own daughter's births, it's, you know, people think, oh, great, you know, you're a doula. It's great for a daughter to have a mom as a doula. And whilst it is, it's having that emotional tie and sometimes then being caught up in what's happening and not being able to stand back and be a bit more objective.
Yeah,
You know, so it's when you get kind of caught up in all the emotions sometimes as the loved one, the mom, the partner, the aunt, the mom-in-law, that could sometimes then actually interfere with the smooth process of birth.
I can understand that. I think it really depends on your own dynamic, doesn't it? Like, for example, I would have been worried that my mum was okay, was it, to try and
Yes,
look after her.
yes.
So that might have taken me out, even though I would have in theory loved her to be there. It would have been like, I'm looking after her, and or she's looking after me. Like you said, the dynamic, whereas somebody else I've hired to do it, that's
Yes,
their job.
absolutely. And you can get on with your job of birthing your baby, right?
Yeah, I would have definitely done it for my first time, and I had options for the other ones. So, and what do you love most about being a doula?
Oh my goodness, where do I start? People assume, and you know, you talk about being a doula, and in fact, everywhere I go, I'm a complete doula bore. So people ask, you know, what do you do for a living? And I'm so quick to say that I'm a doula because I want to get the word out there.
Yeah,
And people assume that, oh gosh, babies, it's all about the babies. You must love holding the babies. And of course, when a woman gives birth, that's her baby. And I don't hold that baby unless it's absolutely necessary and she's asked me to hold the baby. But literally, that baby stays glued to mom or the partner. So it's not about the cuddly babies, even though they're very cute and cuddly. It's actually about the moms. What I really enjoy about being a doula is seeing moms blossom, seeing women blossom into mothers. They say as a woman gives birth, she also births herself as a mother.
yeah,
And it's that, to me, that is so special. And also postnatally, you know, in those first few tricky days for first-time moms, they're not sure. They read all that kind of rubbish on the internet and on social media, and they're confused.
yeah.
So again, not advising, but just being with her and having some gentle reassurance and encouragement, seeing her blossom and find her own way into motherhood is really special.
And having a smooth transition like that can make all the difference, can't it?
I've seen both ways really. You know, when I work for Sure Start and I see mothers coming in and gosh, you know, the trauma actually that they've experienced, you know, as opposed to that, as I say, the smooth transition. And I'm not just talking about vaginal births or hypnobirths or water births, you know, cesarean births, it's all birth. But as long as you are supported, feel listened to, respected, it can make so much difference to the experience.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. That's exactly what I feel. It doesn't matter if things don't go exactly as you're planning, you are respected and supported.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've still got that story to tell, which we all,
Absolutely.
everyone tells the stories, and it's
Yes, they do.
because of the negativity around, that's what's getting shared and then
Yes.
up instead of being able to share the stories like you've supported women through. And I know I've seen you in different pictures supporting different births, including cesarean birth and hospital and home and yeah. And what do you find most inspiring in general about birth itself?
It's the miracle. It's the miracle of birth. You know how it unfolds. And as you said, you know, it doesn't always unfold in the way that we want or expect. It can be really unpredictable. So whether it be the straightforward or the, you know, slightly, you know, the road's kind of gone a little bit wonky, it's just a miracle of it. And it's the watching and the unfolding and the, you know, because what we do a lot of as doulas is we're not always kind of hands-on and, you know, feverishly mopping her brow and holding her hand and rubbing her back. We do that sometimes, but a lot of the role is just standing back and just observing, actually, just using all of our senses. What's going on here? What can we see and smell? And just watching that unfold for me is just such a miracle.
It is a wonderful miracle. And again, I think that's an important point, that it's not necessarily the doing, so you can't always put into words what you do, because I know myself, when my husband was supporting me, sometimes he'd be standing there thinking, what do I do now? But his just being there was enormous. It changes the energy. You can lift the energy of a really calm, sure presence, and then that enables the woman to blossom, as you're saying. That energy shift with the more people in the room that are trusting birth, that are with that woman. Not necessarily that you'd have loads of people in the room per se, they might be somewhere else, but in general, the more that atmosphere in the room is of trust and calm, and I don't really mean more people in the room. That was a bad way of phrasing it.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, not a crowd.
Not a crowd. But the atmosphere of it, the support. It doesn't have to be a doing support. Less is more. Sometimes, like that image of the knitting midwife that you see.
Yes, exactly.
All the meditation energy emanating when, and joining with the mother who can be in that energy too. Then that the birth is happening. It is wonderful. Yes,
it is.
So, what breaks your heart? We probably touched on this a little bit, that you would like to see change for women becoming a mother.
Okay. What really breaks my heart is how women, once they've had their babies, if they haven't got a trusted person around them or hired a doula, they're just left to get on with things. You know, I've heard recently of a trust who expect moms to come out to go to hospital for a postnatal visit. So the midwife doesn't come in, you know, day 2 or 3, and she's expected to kind of get herself to hospital to get herself and baby checked over. What is that?
I know, my friend had to drive 45 minutes with a newborn, like 1 day old, to get checked.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be putting that on mom's shoulders, you know, and the whole kind of thing about the village has gone. So you don't see so much of people bringing around food and offering to sit and or to, you know, put the hoover around or put some washing on, or, you know, where's all that gone?
Yeah, like
we're expecting women to get up and out, and I see women up and out, you know, around Tesco's. Look at their babies.
That's a badge of pride. Look.
Yeah, no, it's not. Get yourself home.
Inside. You see, us, the Western culture, we're the only cultures, like England, America, Australia, the Western sort of white cultures that do that. You know, like
it's shocking to me.
My husband's from the Gambia, for those that don't know me. I don't see that happening in the Gambian community here. I see them supporting each other.
It wouldn't happen.
You know,
you'd be ushered back to bed or ushered back inside.
Yeah. And people are willing, but they just don't realise. They want to help. They don't realise. It's like the celebration of the baby, but not understanding, because we don't see it in our community so much anymore. It's lost knowledge in a way. I think it's so important. It's part of my desire with this video series to kind of create a virtual village of the birth workers, to get the information to people while they're pregnant, to consider that kind of during the pregnancy, during the birth, after the birth, what you need personally to you. And for me, it also comes to this valuing of the mother at the heart of it. So you're valuing yourself enough to ask for that support, to ask for the help, to feel you have the right to ask and deserve that to reframe the whole way of thinking about how the birth happens in.
Absolutely. And I encourage moms to ask during their pregnancy. It's no good waiting until baby's here.
You've not got your head around it then.
No. Get your postnatal plan together and get people to commit. It's no good saying, well, my aunt lives around the corner, she'll pop in. Yes, she'll probably pop in and sit on your sofa and drink your tea and eat your biscuits, right? Get auntie around the corner to commit to bringing around food or to dropping some shopping off, or, as I said, pushing the hoover around, a couple of times a week. Let's not be shy about these things. Ask and actually insist.
Yes, and it does make the most wonderful difference. I know from myself with my 3 children as I progressed into asking for more with each time.
Yes.
One thing that sometimes when we suggest these kind of things to women, to how to really create the best birth experience for them, there can be some resistance. And one of the big resistance that comes up is money.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people when they say, oh, well, I think I'd love to have it. It sounds all really nice, but I can't afford it.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So, I do, and I know a lot of other doulas do. So we offer things like payment plans, because I know I couldn't come up with my doula fee just like that. I couldn't. So we offer, payment plans. You pay a deposit and you can pay monthly, and we don't insist on the whole lot up front. Mm-hmm. I personally offer gift vouchers. So when you have the dreaded baby shower and or your colleagues at work, kind of flock together and buy you 10,000 baby grows and what have you, then I say, well, what about gift vouchers? Why don't your family and friends chip in towards the cost of a doula? Yeah. And then you get people actually that will quite happily go to John Lewis and spend £900 on the latest buggy and then say, oh gosh, I can't afford a doula. And I'm not saying what you should spend your money on. You earn your money, spend it how you please. But then they look back and think, well, how long did that baby use that buggy for, if at all?
Yeah.
Compared to the lifelong effects of having a positive birth.
And sometimes I think it's they're just not thinking because they're not aware of the needs beforehand, and they think buggy's essential, we need to push them around, let's get the best for my baby that we can.
That's right.
And not thinking let's get the best for the mother that we can, because the mother's the one looking after the baby. If you're in a hopeless state, you can't do it.
Yes.
And the baby doesn't really care about the best model. So I don't have a buggy, but some people do. You don't have to spend as much. And second-hand buggies, it's sometimes they haven't, like you said, been used very much. Sometimes
they haven't.
Have them and they've barely been touched. So you can.
But the thing is, Charlotte, a lot of the stuff hasn't been touched. The Moses basket, all the frills around it, I can count on one hand how many babies have used their Moses basket, and the fancy this and the big silver cross, cots and the this and the that. It amounts to thousands, and you see all on eBay within months.
Yeah.
Unused.
I think that the kind of support that's more hidden because it's not a project, not a product, is actually more priceless. Whatever you spent on it.
Yeah.
And I know that there are hardship funds and so on that people can apply for, but most people that are saying they can't afford it could, with savings, or not most, maybe a certain percentage of people that say they can't afford it have been on holiday and decorated the room and bought a pram, as you've said. So there's a choice there, and then it's questioning inside what was prompting that choice. It was the desire for the best for the baby or the best for this, but missing out on knowing what they need and valuing themselves as a woman, as a mother, rather than just giving everything in service to the baby and burning out. Like everyone knows about burnout, corporate burnout, but motherhood is happening.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And that's really early on for that to be happening.
Absolutely. And the thing is, a lot of women just think, they hear about doulas and they assume it's not for them. They already make the assumption that, A, it's too costly, or B, people like me don't have doulas. But let me tell you, I have women, such a wide spectrum of women. I have women that are quite well-to-do and can afford a doula, no problem. I have women who save. I have women who, even before they get pregnant, know they want a doula and start to save a fund. And all backgrounds, all kind of classes, race, culture have doulas.
It really helps, like you said, to get the word out there, to know, because then women can go, okay, do I want a doula? Do I want massage? Do I want acupuncture? Do I want these things? What do I need to put those in place? What matters to me? What will make it happier and more enjoyable for me? What will then knock on effect for the baby? How can I make that happen?
Absolutely.
And that's a
and I must mention that, of course, there are, at least 2 doula projects here in the West Midlands. So we have Bethel Doula Project, who are for women who are vulnerable, and so they get the service for free. They get a free doula.
Yeah.
And there's also Can Do for women and families who've got learning difficulties, and again, they will get a doula free. So there are doula projects in the Midlands that will service women.
Yeah, wonderful. When I put this up, I'll put the details to that underneath for anyone that might need those services. And
Brilliant.
Also, again, for someone who's not in Birmingham, I know I have people listening in Australia and America. If you don't know of that and you are someone that is vulnerable or someone that really can't pay, ring a doula and find out what is available.
That's right.
Ring and ask, I want this, I don't know how to do it, can you help me? Find one or help me. This is what I have got. I have a client, for example, that saves up and then pays me weekly, very small amount over time, and can only come on for so many months. And I give her a reduced price because I know how much she's valuing the service and what she's saving out of what she gets. So she's valuing it. And so I'm going to reduce it. I obviously want that for everybody.
Yes.
It's who's valuing. We want everybody to have these services, to have that wonderful care, and because birth is, as you've said, so wonderful, so joyful when it's supported and you feel great.
Yeah.
And the other side is such a contrast.
It is.
Yeah. Which also brings me to recently when you posted about the Embrace report, and the Embrace stands for Mothers and Babies. I can't remember it ever without writing it down. Mothers and Babies Reducing Risk Through Audits and Confidential Inquiries, which essentially it was a large report that showed where mothers are dying, or it's rare, but what it did show was that Black women are 5 times more likely to die in pregnancy than white women, and Asian women are twice as likely to die in pregnancy. And my understanding from reading elsewhere is this tends to cross social borders and cross income border, crosses all borders. It's
absolutely
very hard to pin down exactly what is going on, but there's something going on there in a country like this where, okay, we're very good at messing it up and being over medicalized, but we're also very good at people not dying generally. So why is there such a discrepancy, and what do you think about that and what we could do about that?
Well, I mean, the figures are heartbreaking, aren't they? Absolutely heartbreaking. And, in my mind, there are, numerous factors, I think, that are compounding this problem and the cause of this problem. There's no one thing, but what I will say actually is that when people of colour, when Black and ethnic minority women are seen as others by the health service, so they go to see the midwife, the doctor, they go for appointments, when they're not treated as human beings, they're not treated respectfully, they're seen as the other. When you as a worker hold that attitude in your heart, it's got to leak out into your practice. So not listening. A lot of my women, I mean, the majority of my doula clients are Asian Muslim women, white and then African Caribbean. And a lot of the women of colour say to me that they don't feel listened to. They don't feel respected. They're not given information about, their birthing options. And when they do come in with a birth plan that maybe, they want a lotus birth, where the placenta is attached and falls off in its own time, they get the eyebrows raised as if, well, who are you? Oh, this is unusual. Oh, and these are the attitudes that we're faced with day after day after day that cause a lot of stress in the body. And we know that when we're pregnant and are, confronted with stress daily like this, and then turn up for our birth and have this stress, it doesn't help.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you've had that experience in pregnancy, you're probably expecting it to carry on, and it can do with the attitude from those helping you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know that I've seen that with my own family members on my husband's side here, where they were saying to me, well, she's going to give me a sweet. What's a sweet? And she was asking me.
Yeah.
It hadn't explained, and it's really sad. And I also think that for many people with that happening, they don't always know they're doing it. So some do, but some women have, it's like a subconscious bias that's been generationally passed down with the history, a lot of history that we've got. There are obviously there is outright racism, but say looking at, even in when I look in myself, have I overlooked someone just because I saw the colour or whatever? Did I just bypass and go for a bias to someone who's like me, or is there an unconscious bias? So sometimes there's these belief systems in the head that until you say to someone, question that. Did you do, what happened there? Like you were saying, inviting. It's a very basic thing to listen to the person in front of you, the person who is in front of you, look in their eyes without any preconceptions about what their colour or their class or their anything means. What are they saying? What do they need? How can you support them? And we wouldn't have to talk race if there wasn't a problem to address. And that is a really important point, listening to someone, and then with respect answering whatever questions they have, because it's so hard to speak up and ask if you're having the eyebrow raising, whoever you are.
It is, and women talk about feeling unsafe.
Yes.
Yeah, and we hear a lot about things like cultural safety. And if you're being looked after, in inverted commas, by somebody who makes you feel unsafe.
Yes.
You can imagine birthing.
I can immediately relate to, as a woman, say, walking home at night feeling unsafe. And then what I've learned in recent years is that is heightened if you are a woman of colour or another group that's in another ethnic minority group, or any group that's sort of in the minority that could be a target for a different reason on top of that. So then you're carrying that energy around with you. And I think there's more than two-pronged probably, but there's the invitation to the woman themselves to find that strength inside. It shouldn't be for the woman to have to do this, but that's what I do in my business, is support women to find that inner strength, to clear out the conditioning, but the other side as well, for the people to the women supporting the women to open up, particularly if you are not in that bracket of women of colour and ethnic minority, to really hear what people are saying they need.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be placing the onus on the woman of colour.
Yeah, definitely not.
She hasn't created that problem.
But it shouldn't be their onus. If that makes sense, I don't know if that's clear. I don't mean to say that the women of colour should do this. It's their job to, but I want to support all women, so I will support women. That's part of the work I find that is happening when I have someone of colour coming to me. That's part of the work that I'm helping them. But it's the conversation needs to happen for people like me to be aware that there is something to talk about, that there is something to... I had a conversation with my cousin as well about the inequality in general with men and women, that women of colour get another even worse,
double whammy
line. And I was saying, and he was saying he thinks that men just don't realise, they think there is a level playing field. So they get annoyed when women say, hey, we want more, because they think there's a level playing field, and they haven't actually they can't see it. And it's really strange. How can you not see that? Look at the facts, look at these things. And when I talked to him about it, it was really interesting to hear that as a male opinion. That was what he thought was going on, whether he's right or not. And then that's why talking about it, discussing it, and breaking through the defensive, because what people tend to do, this is what I found, is that when you point out something that's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable to say, Black women are 5 times more likely to die, people are not being listened to, people are not being respected. The immediate thing is, well, I don't do that. Defensive.
People get very defensive, yes.
Become defensive. That's
right.
A reaction that you need to get past and to acknowledge, okay, I felt defensive because I felt like they were saying, you've not respected someone, and it's not that. So, and looking inside Because I've had that reaction occasionally in different conversations and then gone, oh, hold on a minute, it doesn't make sense.
Mm.
So then if that reaction is reacted to and everyone's reacting, we get an argument instead of a heartfelt, open discussion. Oh, I hear you. I didn't know that before. What can I do? How can I support you?
And this is where listening comes in.
Listening, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It all.
Yeah.
Listen to the problem, listen to what someone needs. And straight away, listening is like half the solution before you've even done anything else. If someone feels heard, they feel safer because that person cares about me. They care enough about me. I'm important. I matter. My opinion matters. Therefore, all the rest is going to matter. It starts right there.
Mm.
And then, obviously, the actions will hopefully follow with that.
Yes.
So, yeah, I do hope we see a change and that this conversation is part of it.
Absolutely.
It's a big issue.
It is. It's huge.
Yeah. So, whew, if there was one thing, everything we've talked about or anything at all, one thing that you would love women to take home with and really reside in their heart and either take action or just live, what would you invite them to take home from this discussion?
Oh, one thing is really difficult, Charlotte. It's almost impossible. Here's the first one. Here's the first one. The first one is, you don't have to birth like how you see on One Born Every Minute. All right? Not that I've watched it, but I hear the most horrific things. Okay, so we don't have to do it that way. We don't have to do it how our mothers or our sisters or our next door neighbour did it. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing I hear quite a lot when people say to me they're having a baby and they're going to give birth at this hospital. I say, just out of interest, oh, why have you chosen there? Oh, because my mom gave birth there. Yeah. Or because it's my nearest hospital. Mm. Okay, well, have you explored any other kind of options? Oh, no.
Yeah.
You know, so I would urge women to actually look into all of their birthing options, because you don't have to birth like your mom did or the lady next door.
Yeah, definitely.
Second thing, I've got one more thing. I mentioned it earlier on, is to use your voice and to insist on help, especially after you've had your baby. Yeah, insist. You know, let's not tough it out. Let's not be shy. This is not a time to be a shrinking violet and, oh gosh, what will they think if I ask for help? Yeah, speak up, shout out, and insist that you get some help.
Yes, definitely. And a tip on that is, if you're scared to ask for help, start there by saying, I'm scared to ask for help. And I need to ask for help. So start with where you are and still do it.
Yeah.
Because it can break the conversation because when you speak to someone and say, I'm really nervous about this, I need to ask you for help and I'm nervous about asking. I'm scared of, you know. And I go, oh, and you get the attention, but definitely ask for what you need. Find out what you need, ask for what you need, and don't settle for second best, like you said, or what you think someone else has got. Do it for yourself and do what's right for you.
Absolutely.
And only you can know that, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know that, that's okay. Ask for help with that as well. Find out. I don't know what to do.
What might I need?
What might I need? Ring the doula up and ask. But yeah, I'm joking, but it's true. You know, to take some time to really think about what's important to you in the birth. And often the things that are important transcend the small details, even though the small details might be important. So to feel supported, it could be a doula, it could be a partner, it could be the next door neighbour, it could be anywhere. You could feel supported at different places, but to know that that's what's important to you. And then how can I get that feeling? How can I do that? And then use your voice.
Yeah.
We have such wonderful, varied, strong voices as women, and we are hearing all women's voices.
We are.
We are seeing positive changes as well as challenges.
You
know, I tend to look at some of the figures and go, oh no, more medicalisation, more women not knowing they can say no, whatever. But at the same time, it's also more conversations happening, more women.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, we're in that chaos flux period, I feel, where a lot of change is happening. So yeah, Well, Lorna, I know you have to go now, and it's been a wonderful conversation that I'm sure we could do more conversations in future, but I've really enjoyed having you here. It's wonderful.
Me too.
We're so clear about exactly what a doula is, why a woman might want to hire a doula, and what is really important in birth for women to choose. So I will be, I'll put some notes down for everybody underneath to know that. So
Sure.
thank you, Lorna.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Charlotte.
You this morning. And goodbye, everybody. I hope you enjoy this series, and do tune in for all the other episodes of what that I will be posting.
Thank you.